Sam, happy Friday.
Let's go. What a good day to be on a call with the wonderful Angela and JC. Let's go.
How you doing, buddy?
So good. So good. Thankful to be out of the cold. We got a little bit of sunshine today here in Michigan, but nothing like I'm sure North Carolina has. But we're surviving, man. We're hanging in there. Hanging in there.
60 today. I don't know. It was sunny. That's all I know. Maybe a long sleeve shirt, but when you were in the sun, it felt good, and it felt good to be in the vitamin D and get that caught up. So
we had a cold spell though. We went camping when it was in the 20s.
I think I saw your video about that, and like my sympathy violin was like doing this because I'm going. Like for one, who goes camping when it's in the 20s? You totally could have picked a way better climate time to do that.
Well, the next weekend was 60. That was the worst part about it.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes sense. I'm glad you guys survived it. You know what? It thickens your blood a little bit to be able to help you handle when you are dealing with some 50s and 60s. So you guys will be just fine. You'll be just fine.
We stayed warm and we had it was a good night and we survived, but we didn't make it the second night. We said we're out of here. 20 degrees the next night. We're done. So
did your guys' pipes freeze in the camper or were they okay?
Well, no, it was a rooftop tent, so there was no camper. So it was, we had a.
Oh my gosh, that's even more miserable. Why would you put yourself through that?
An electric heater and a diesel heater. So the diesel heater cut the air down, circulating the tent, and then the electric blanket was it was really warm actually. The crazy part though was everybody sleeping in their cars, and when you walked past them, they're like this, like Eskimos in a movie, Frozen. I'm like, what are you doing? Like. We're somewhat crazy. You guys are just insane.
What was that for, by the way? Why were you sleeping in a
tent? We did a 50-mile relay in the woods.
That's what it was. Okay, got it. So was that part of it? Was you had to tent it, or could
you had the option to show up, but it started so early the next day, and I said I wanted to commit to camping, and we were going to do it. And then we found the temperatures to be in the 20s, 30s, and we're like, maybe we'll just show up Saturday morning. And literally Friday afternoon at 1:30, I said, "Hey, pack your stuff. We're leaving in 2 hours. We're going camping." So
that's
well, I'm on a Facebook Live. Like, okay.
How did the run go?
It was great. It was Angela's first 5-mile race ever, and she went before me, and then I went. It was in the woods. It was pretty cool. They just got to clear this whole land. It's like 1,300 acres. They go and bush hog it all a couple weeks prior. And then I think there's about 1,000 people that showed up. So they did a 50-mile race, a 50K race, a 50-mile relay, and then they did a last man standing, which is the craziest thing. At 8 p.m. Friday night, every hour on the hour until the last man stops, they do 4 miles and change. So they start at 8 p.m., and then they have to be back before 9, and then right at 9 they do another 4, and then 10 another 4.
Oh, man.
And that guy did 150 miles or something. It was insane.
You know what?
There's one. It went to the woods.
That's cool. That's cool. Thankful for them. They can have that stuff. Where you know what the 5-mile run in the cold. That's it's refreshing running in the cold. So I can see that. Camping in the cold, I could probably find some better things to do. I would have found the local Marriott and made it work. But
I've seen you do some 5Ks this year with your wife, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, our run. We do one big one a year. It's the Crim in Flint, and that's a 10-mile. And so the way I look at like my personal health and wellness is as long as my time every year improves on that 10-mile, I'm taking care of myself. That's like my big boy. I've no desire. I've done a couple half marathons. I have no desire to do a full marathon. Like, nope, but that 10-mile, it's a butt kick, man, to do 10 miles in Flint. It's pretty hilly. So that's our it's every August, and we start training for it like 3-4 months in advance. And so I enjoy I used to be, I would have said, and my trainer told me, she said, you're addicted to running. And I agree with that. I was, but I was addicted to running to the point where it wasn't working for my body anymore. So like when there was a point, humbly said, like, when me and my wife got married in 2000, I should know this, 2006, I was like 320 pounds. Like I look at photos and I go, dang, like, man, she loved me when I was like that. She deserves me now that brother takes care of himself. And, but anyway, my whole journey was running. Like I loved to run. But what happened was like 7, 8 years ago, my body just like hit this point where running just, I have a healthy heart, healthy blood pressure, all that stuff is good. But like I wasn't gaining muscle anymore. You know, my weight pretty much just stayed the same. So a little over a year ago, I started strength training and hired a trainer, hired a coach. And dude, like I now like I'll run for some cardio, but my trainer, she allows me to do like 1 mile just to kind of warm up. But and then I get one free day a week. And my free day, I'll go run outside on the free day. But other than that, it's all strength training. And my wife she loves to still run, but she's just not down with the strength training side yet. So it's two different worlds. As you know, like I love watching your physical journey there and working out. And I've gotten, you know, speaking more and traveling more, like, dude, the hotel gym, there's something kind of like powerful about being in a gym and there's nobody else in there.
Oh, yeah.
And there's something like uplifting and fulfilling about that to get in the gym, get it in, then go, like, I'll go hang out in the hotel lobby and just have a cup of coffee. And I'm just like, man, it's a good day.
You're ready. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
we're ready, man.
You know, we travel often, and I'm a hotel snob. I'm a Delta flyer. I only fly Delta, and I'm a Hilton snob because I just have all these Hilton points. But like, we'll pick the hotels based off the gyms now because I need some place where we have some free weight options and can do things. And I just hate when there's like a treadmill that's usually broken and no options. So like, I do my training or my investigation usually involves the food and the gym.
Yeah.
Smart. I like it. There's nothing wrong. Life is short, man. Drink the good beer, drink the good coffee, stay at the nicer hotels. Delta, you know, I can see where you're coming from. Dude, I have no problem jumping on a Spirit flight, baby. Just get me where I need to be. And I know. You know what? I flew Delta I was in Minnesota speaking last week, and just for convenience purposes, Delta had the best flights. And it's a whole different world because when you fly out of Detroit, there's two different terminals. There's the one terminal, which is your Spirits, you know, everything else. And then Delta has their own terminal. And so I wasn't used to going to that terminal.
You're like looking around. Like,
I felt like the lap of luxury, man. I'm like, got my own sky lounge and all this. But my kids, you know, I sent them a picture. I'm on the plane, on the Wi-Fi in the plane. And I sent him a photo of like watching a movie, you know, and like, Daddy, not fair. You get to fly Delta, you know. And I'm like, it's one of those things. Like we don't want to, we've been doing something that works. There was a point in time, dude, where humbly said, we used to buy EBT cards for 50 cents on the dollar trying to start our business. And you know what, like when you've been through that side, like there's certain things that I'm like, we just are. It's so funny because we will be so frugal in certain things, but then there's other areas like I said, dude, good beer. My wife loves good wines. Dude, I'm not drinking Folgers coffee. And I mean, I don't ever want to sound like a thing, but the flight thing, I'm just like, yeah, I don't want my spoiled kids to get used to something different. And then now they won't ever jump back on the Bob's Catfish and Airlines that we're used to flying on. So I don't want to get them too spoiled.
Our airport's so small. We have 8 terminals, and we have United, which flies like twice, American, Delta, and Avelo, I think it is. So our options are very limited. And I used to be an American guy, and then one day I got pushed to a Delta for whatever reason. I was like, no, there's no chance I'm ever going back to American because I really feel like it's like 4 inches more of leg room on a Delta flight when you're in the back, and I'm 6'2", so I need that space. And then now we just usually get upgraded to comfort our first class because of our status on Delta, which makes it even nicer. So we buy the main cabin, and then automatically we're jumped up to comfort, and then if we're lucky, we'll get jumped to first class. So
once you get a taste, man, you can't go back. That's just the way it is. Like the extra, I know what you mean about height. I'm 6'4", so that little bit of extra leg room, dude. Like It
There's
means a
nothing
lot.
worse
So
than
I get
sitting
it.
your knees like on the out in the aisle and the neighbors.
Yep. The lady comes by with the cart and it hits your knee and you're like, dang it. I need to move to a different area. I get it, dude. The struggle's real, man. The struggle's real. So that's awesome.
Sam, so
that's awesome.
I love seeing your videos, whether it's you speaking with your company, because you guys have incredible company culture. I just saw another video that your guy put out just today, I believe it was, with all the plow trucks getting ready and stuff like that. When it comes to content, like you far exceed anybody in the industry that I've seen, like with consistency, with like taste, with just switching it up and everything like that. And I love what you're doing out there. So
appreciate that. Branding is so, when I, in the coaching side of my world, I get to see how many people spend so much money on like AdWords and, fit and ads online and things like that. I would rather spend more money on content creation and just being organic with it, because I think it's dual purpose. Like it's much more authentic, and people really get to understand our story and they want to be a part of it more. And not to mention, there's nothing cookie cutter about it. And so, we have a full-time media team. I take it very serious. I used to be the quote unquote media guy. So I've always had a passion for it, like making iMovie videos and stuff like that. And it got to the point as our team, continued to grow. And I was spending all this money on like bringing freelance people in to do content for us. And one day I went, man, what if we just hired our own like media guy, and that's all he does is just tells our story. And we did it, and it took about a year for it to really get traction, because I'm very big on people knowing their roles in an organization and knowing that what they're doing is having an impact on the mission. And it's really easy, when somebody's in a production role, they have KPIs that show, what their profit rates are, their gross margin, their contribution margin, all the things, right? Are they retaining their crew members? If you're an account manager, you've got sales, you got all these different metrics. Well, when it comes to content creation, because we don't really view our client acquisition cost as like a Google search where it's costing us $5 to earn a client. We don't look at it like that. And so it was hard for me to convey to our first media person, like how what they're doing is actually causing a difference within the culture and within our brand creating and all that. And it just hit me one day. We had put out a video that got, I don't even know, like 100,000 views. And the difference between the content that we had been putting out and that was this particular thing was a story that was like one of our clients talking about their experience with us. And it kind of dawned on them that like this person's role is just there's this amazing story going on. There's all these lives that are being impacted. We're adding incredible value to the clients that put their trust in us. Okay, content creator, your purpose here is just to share that story with the world. And what made me put a full-time person into that role was it's probably been 3 or 4 years since we hired somebody full-time for that. There was a company out of Canada that had came in to shoot a story on our business for 2 days, just like all the areas, how we've grown as quick as we did, how we have such good retention with our employees, the difference between leading and managing and all the different systems and processes. So this company comes in, and it just so happened that the first day that their video team got to our facility, it was a morning where we were having a crew breakfast for our guys. So, our team. So, we get food catered in. And actually, it's actually now it actually makes a lot more sense in the year. It would have been 2019. Yeah, it was 2019. So it was right before the pandemic and all that. So we were having breakfast served, our teams gathered around tables, they're getting their plates ready. And I noticed that the media guys are just like standing there like deer in headlights. They're not. And me with my marketing and video mind, I'm like, why aren't you shooting this? Like, look at the smiles. These guys are having a good time. Like, this is going to make your video. And so I go up to one of the content creators or the video guys, and I said, hey man, is everything okay? And he goes, I'm honestly overwhelmed. And I went, you're overwhelmed? Like, why are you overwhelmed? And he said, well, and he starts kind of laughing. And he said, normally when we come to do these, and we go do these shoots all the time, he said, we have to stage things going on so we can get content. Like, hey, can you go wash a truck? And we're going to get content of the truck being washed. Hey, do you guys have like some cornhole boards that like maybe a couple guys can be throwing the bags back and forth? We're going to get some video of it. All these little events. Hey, can you have a guy at a computer explaining to 3 or 4 guys what their projects are going to be today? And we're going to get video of that and share it, with the world to see. And so he goes, you guys have all that going on right now, and I don't know where to start. So I went, is that like I didn't know how to take that. And after spending the guy that was their main like video editing, kind of the guy that was there to make sure the shooters like knew what to get. He was a super awesome dude. And he's the one who actually said, he goes, man, if I were you, he said, I'd have a full-time guy that all he did was get content. Like, you guys have so much going on. And so now, and we went through a few different people. At one point we had 2. Now we just have 1 full-time guy. It's always like, I probably am harder on him than any other team member because I feel it, man. I feel that, like, I feel the emotion through the content. And so I'm always like, hey, what do you got going on today? Like, me and him, we probably talk more than like me and our business development people, because those guys, they just slay it with sales. They know what they're doing every day. Or this guy, if he's not intentional to plan his days, then he'll miss out on stuff or not get what he needs to get. And so anyway, thank you for acknowledging the content, because it's a big deal, and we take a lot of pleasure and passion behind it. And I tell people that it's dual purpose. If you're watching the content, you're either going, man, I want to go work for that company. Those guys, like, they make kind of a crappy job, like, and they make it fun. They enjoy what they're doing. So there's one purpose. I want to be a part of what they're doing. Or if I'm a customer, I feel like I know those guys because I see them in content and they want to get behind this mission too. So there's the dual purpose. Either I want to work there, I want to be a part of that team, or I want to hire them to take care of my properties for me. So that's kind of the dual focus in all of our stuff, and have fun doing it. So
yeah, no, and I love it. I love doing content, lives, all that stuff. And I think so many companies fall short on this because they feel like they got to go outsource it and get somebody come in there and spend $1,500 to go shoot this video and stage and stuff like that, when everybody's got a phone.
Dude,
go out there and do it.
The authenticity, and this is much more authentic too. It's much more authentic than what, when you bring that outside person in, a lot of times they don't understand, the heart behind the organization, and the people that you hope to get traction with. Marketing and sales are much like fishing. And I love this example. People go, I don't get the difference. I'll explain to you what the difference is, or the similarity. When you're fishing, fish are much smarter than people realize because they swim in schools. Ha ha ha, dad joke. But fish, when they're eating, and when you're throwing your line in the water to catch them, if a fish bites the bait and recognizes there's a hook there and they spit it out really quick, the other fish in the school actually can tell by looking at the bait if another fish has taken a bite out of it and spit it out, and they won't bite it. So one of the best captains, in my opinion, in the world taught me that if you get a fish on and you're reeling it in and you lose it, even if you pull it out of the water and your bait is perfectly fine and you can use it again, toss it, put a new bait on every time. Otherwise, your chances of catching another fish are like 10% versus 95 with the fresh bait. Sales and marketing are the same thing. When people feel like when it's not authentic, when it feels just dirty and like it feels planned and scripted, and it doesn't have the same merit that true, authentic, an interview with a client about their experience with your company can go a long way. And you don't need to bring in a $2,000 media company to do that. Just use your phone. Grab a microphone for $100 and shoot it. And so I work with all my coaching and mentor clients on that you don't need to spend the money. Not yet. And when it comes to a point and you've got 20 different things going on at once, you should absolutely have your own media person when it gets to that part of the journey.
And I know what you're saying is true because we just got to spend a couple days with Justin over in Phoenix, and he's doing the same thing. Like his lives in the last few days since he's got back from Phoenix has been incredible.
Dude, I gave him a shout out on our call Thursday. I said, man, like his whole energy has changed when he realizes that like this actually works. Just telling my story. Don't fake it. Just do it.
And I prefer, for anybody who's watching who wants to do this, I prefer to do a live versus doing a video on my phone, because when I do a video on my phone, I'll have 20 takes of me trying to say, hey, everybody, this is JC. Blah, blah, blah. Hey, blah, 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 and you'll just see the same picture, like, and I'll start. Oh, yeah. If I go live and I mess up, guess what? You know what? It's
who cares? What's done is done. What's done is done. If you can, yes. People will say that about like a video interview. They'll say like, hey man, that turned out really, really well. I'm like, that took 31 takes to get that. Because I'm my own biggest critic. I hate re-listening to my voice in video stuff.
Yeah.
So dude, live, give it live, raw, real. Let me slip up a little bit. If I accidentally drop a swear word in there, I'll ask for forgiveness, and so be it, man. That's funny that you say that. I love that. That's good. That's good.
Last March, right after Sales Boost, or at Sales Boost last March, I committed to 30 days of live every single day for 30 days just to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Just because I needed to do it. And I did it. I did 30. I think I missed 2 days. One was a holiday and one was Sunday with my kids or something. But I just went live every single day. It could have been 5 minutes. It could have been 30 minutes. I brought people on with me. And it just got easier and easier and easier. Now, I mean, like we're at the hotel earlier. Just, all right, hey, this is JC and Angela. We're at the hotel. And people want to see everything. They want to see the authenticity, like you said. They love seeing family. They love seeing you engaging with your team on a job site, showing stuff. Like, I mean, the video of, I don't know who had the selfie stick with you snow plowing the other day. But, that's cool. Like, it doesn't take much, but just get it out there because people want to see that and they want to know about your company. But if you're sitting here saying, like, I got to get a script and I got to get the video content team out here and then we got to develop and all this stuff, it's never going to happen.
It's another form of paralysis by analysis. Mm-hmm. Like you think that you want every single thing to be perfect. So, it just delays it. It's what the irony in that. And I'll have a little bit of vulnerability and transparency here. I built this sick space for video content in my basement. So I'm working from our upstairs office at home today, but in my basement, we got some projects going on down there, but I built this beautiful space. I got my recorder. I got my cameras. It's awesome. And I said, I'm committing to once a month, I'm going to put out a podcast. That was about a year ago. And I've recorded on everybody else's podcast from that space.
I think you were in it.
I've been on everybody else's, but I haven't. So I need y'all to hold me accountable. Sam, when's the first one? I have notes. Here's my first podcast. This is what I'm going to do. Leading versus managing. Hey, I'm going to build this one on 5 habits that successful leaders adopt. I have all this stuff, but then I just go, I want to tweak the notes a little bit more. I want to make sure, and you got to just do it. You got to jump and get your wings on the way down, man.
Right.
And so that's one area, and I don't know why. I just maybe it's just more enjoyable jumping on other people's podcasts.
Well, it's something when you enjoy it. I will say that versus ours. So in the Foxhole, you were on with us, and we started this plan that we were going to do 3 guests and then one on our own. People wanted to learn a little bit about us. And it's easy to commit to ones that people are on, right? Because they're on our calendar. Like we've scheduled you. Sam is Tuesday at 10 o'clock. But anytime we schedule
Us.
We schedule us. We schedule our own ones to be every third one. Nope.
I see where you're going with that.
There.
That's good. That's good. So I need to just set my first one. And you know what? Y'all are going to be my first guest. I'm sending you a calendar invite.
What time tonight?
The first podcast guest.
Even if you do, because you have so much valuable content yourself, I'm just going to give you this as a tip. Like if you want to have some guests on, but just get yourself in the studio. So if you record us on, just block yourself off for another hour. Like I'm going to record this. If it's not perfect, whatever. But at least that in the studio.
It's going to happen. Thank you for you were just holding me accountable and you didn't even realize you were doing it. So
now you can say bi-weekly check-ins.
When the podcast drops, humbly said, we get hundreds of thousands of followers. JC and Angela can be like, I'm the one that told me you need to do it. You guys can do it. I'll give y'all a plug on every one. Thank you guys for the encouragement. I'm going to do it.
All right. Well, speaking of winning, let's talk about Sales Boost real quick.
Let's go.
We had our conversation. Where were we? We were in Phoenix. Phoenix at the hotel when we first talked to you on our Zoom conference to see if you'd be a speaker. Probably one of the best conversations I've had in a long time. And we laughed for the whole conversation. Like so much fun. Our first introduction to you. And so thankful for you to be coming to Sales Boost to be a speaker. Not many people in the Washington space might not know who you are unless they're involved in Concord. Just real quick, tell everybody who Sam is and where you're at.
Yeah, for sure. No, I appreciate the little chance to do an intro there. So as most of you know by now, I'm Sam Gembel. So I'm based out of Flint. And my journey started probably like most entrepreneur, or should I say the technicians that had the entrepreneurial seizure. My business started as a side hustle, cutting grass. That was back in 2007, 2008. Me and my wife had moved to a little town called Davison, suburb of Flint. That was our first got up out the hood home because we grew up in Flint and, very humble beginnings. We moved to Davison in 2005 and we had this corner lot, and I had worked for a local, like smaller lawn and landscape company. And I cut grass there, did small landscapes, and I had got promoted to more of like a training kind of production manager. Well, part of that role was I got removed from working in the field. So, and I missed it. Like I couldn't be training some of our new guys and running a crew. So we had lived in we had this 2-acre lawn in Davison on Atlas Road where we lived at. And I had bought a zero turn for my house. And it just kind of worked out that I started cutting my neighbors just all within, a square block of where we lived. And that was like 2008 summer. And by 2010, we had our daughter in August of 2010. I was up to about 30 clients that I was cutting like on evenings and weekends. And not to mention, like I was a touring drummer. So I played in a couple different bands. And we had a daughter. So, all the things. I had a day job, cutting my grass on the side. I'm a drummer in a band. We have our daughter in August, and like instantly I had to let go of something. Something had to give. So I kind of gave up on the band thing because that really wasn't the healthiest atmosphere for me to be in. And I really just focused on being a dad, being a husband, and growing, my side business, because my day job, it was kind of tapped. It was a smaller company and there really wasn't a whole lot of opportunity for growth there. But I never envisioned, doing Atlas as a side hustle, that it would grow into the internationally recognized brand that it is today. But in 2011, June 10th, 2011 to be exact, I cut the safety net and went all in on Atlas, quit my day job. And literally from June of 11 till January of 12, when I was officially all in, we had done about 330,000 in revenue. And which, I'm like, cool, this is pretty sweet. We bought a couple of new trucks and hired a couple more guys. And in 2012 spring, I had landed a couple of contracts that were like, I pretty much sold myself to these like larger HOA communities that like, I can handle anything. We got it going on. I got all these employees, and really it was just me and a couple of guys, and I was a good sales guy, and we had no money. So I'm like, how are we supposed to, build another couple crews to be able to take on this new work? And man, after about 5 or 6 emails and meetings with our local small credit union, they took a chance on me, and they funded a couple of pickup trucks and a couple of crews worth of equipment. And I literally felt like at that point that we could do whatever we wanted. Like I knew I was going to pay my bills. I knew the bank was going to, they would help us if we needed, in small increments, but we ended up breaking $1 million in revenue in our first full year in business. And so it was so quick and things were moving so fast that we didn't even blink. And in 2013, we broke 2 million in revenue. And it went on to, we hit about 5.3 million in 2016 and 2017 were probably the 2 darkest years in business, where we were doing, 5+ million in revenue, and we were just bleeding cash. Our only system was that we had no systems, and we didn't know the kind of clients we wanted. It was such quick growth, and it was wild. And so that was kind of like when I realized that I couldn't continue working in the business and working on the business. And I was kind of doing both. I would go wherever there was a fire, I was putting that thing out. And it was really then, like in 2018 and 2019, that I shifted my focus from managing the business to leading the business. And really, we started to get our traction kind of right going into the pandemic in 2020. And, that's everything then just kind of clicked. And now, fast forward to today, we have about 110 employees. I get to coach dozens of business owners all over North America. And it's been a wild journey. So I'm excited to take the Sales Boost attendees through that journey. And my talk is actually going to be on working in or working on, and really letting people understand the difference that can happen when you can shift that mindset. And one of the questions that I get asked a lot is, if we had to do it again, would we have grown as quick? And usually the person asking the question, he's going to say yes. My answer is actually no. I wish we hadn't have grown as quick as we did, because it took us years to break the bad habits that had been created through the lack of systems. And so I do think there is a good pace to grow. There's a good pace for even sustainable growth where it makes sense. And we didn't do it that way, but we learned a lot through it. And I'm excited to share that journey with all of our attendees, because I know I'll be speaking to technicians that just want to get off the truck, all the way to somebody that might have 20, 25 guys doing millions of dollars in business, but he still finds himself just burning a candle at both ends, day in and day out. And I've been there, done that. I got the scars, and I'm hoping by the end of Sales Boost, people are going to leave there and go, holy crap, I needed to hear that. And I'm a changed person because of Sam's story. So hang on, buckle up.
Buckle up. I love it.
Yeah, the guests are in for a treat when they hear you, because I've seen you, not in person, but seen everywhere you're going, all the videos you do. You got what's the culture group you have?
It's Culture Proof. Yes, Culture Proof.
Great group. I'll tag it in here for people to find that. It's a great group to get into. But you're just such an inspiration. And so, and truly it comes down to the culture that you have in your company. I'm real big on culture, and I love everything you do, how you recognize your team throughout the year. Right now you guys are the snow season, but you're still there for them every single day, showing up when you're there. And just it goes a long way on how you're able to quickly grow your company to where you have over the last few years.
Yeah,
I'd love to get out there and see operation, because it's absolutely incredible.
Dude, it'd be an honor to have you guys, for sure. Only come when it's warm, though. That's all I tell. If you want to come to Michigan, just come when it's warm. We'll leave it at that.
Although I've never been to a college football game, so maybe that'd be a good time of the year too. Because I know
fall could be good. Yeah, we just got to make sure it's a Wolverines game and not a Spartans game. No disrespect to my Sparties, but we only go to maize and blue games here, for sure.
But yeah, so excited to have you at Sales Boost. Just your energy, like JC said, every time we get to be in a space with you, so far only virtually, that we can't wait to hear from you on the stage, and for everyone just to get to be in your energy. Like, you are so passionate about what you built, but then, sharing it with others of like, hey, these are the mistakes. And that might've been off camera before. Yes. Like, I've done this over and over. trails over and over, and let me save you some of that pain. And it just comes across in a passion. Like you said, they're going to walk away changed.
It's authentic. It's authentic, and it's real stuff that every one of us, no matter what chapter of the journey in, has probably experienced it. And they just, it could be one nugget that somebody hears and goes, man, I know I need to do that. But, full transparency, full disclosure, like I will not co-sign for people's BS. And I think that that's one of the things that I've learned throughout my journey, is that people try to convince themselves. I've been in a room doing talks before, where talking about the working in and working on, and I'll get that business owner that is like, you know what, I've got 5 employees and I don't want any more. It's the stay small, keep it all, stay small, keep it all. And, I hear that and I feel that. And, I remember only having 1 employee or 2 employees. And if one of them calls off for work, you've done lost 20 or 30% of your staff. And, now growing to where we're at, when I tell people we have over 100 team members and they look at me like, you've got to be kidding me. How do you deal with all that stress? I was much more stressed when we had 10 and 20 employees than I am at over 100 now, because we just have much better systems by intent as opposed to systems by default. And so now, when there's a problem, our team understands, they're empowered to be able to take care of it. And I probably am. Some of my key team members would probably say that I'm a hard person to work for, because I expect a lot of myself. Therefore, I expect a lot of our team. And so when I'm not there, or when I get to go speak at an event, or get to go, go visit other companies and do SWOT analysis on different places, it's probably for the best, because my team's like, oh dear God, thank you, he's gone for a couple of days. Because when I'm there, I hate to admit it, I think I kind of just get in the way, because they're really good at what they do, and there's so many wins that happen on a daily basis. And it didn't come by accident. It wasn't luck, it wasn't any of that. It was just the making the mistakes. And there were times when our culture was complete and utter crap. And so people that see it now were like, man, how do you find these like robots to work for you? And like, I think to myself, you have no idea. Like, some of the dark years where it was so dog eat dog, where it was like everybody was just super individualistic and out for themselves. And I knew I had work to do. And it was through transitioning to leading the show versus managing the show, and truly working on the business, not in the business, and really recognizing the few tweaks that were done to get out of that day to day, and the unbelievable momentum that they created. And that's what we're going to share at Sales Boost. We're not going to give we're not giving any more nuggets. That's all you get. You got to be there to get the rest.
You got to show up March 20th. Yep. Sam will be speaking Friday. And I cannot wait. I mean, we toured this facility today. We saw the stage we'll be speaking on, and the guests are just in for a treat once they get there, see everything that they have, all the speakers lined up. But I mean, you coming from the lawn care industry, the snow removal industry, it's different from most of the speakers that they have been hearing from the years, from the pressure washing. Business is business, but hearing from a different industry is going to be a lot more fun too.
You know what? The systems, the mistakes, the values, it's all the same. I mean, I have over a dozen home service companies that I now am blessed to be able to coach and work with. And that's what I've realized, is it's the same stuff. I mean, so when you look at the things that we're going to touch on, there really is no difference. I mean, I get it that we have some, if anything, we're trying to squeeze every ounce of juice out of a $40 service versus $1,000 service that some of my, Christmas lightpreneur people get to deal with and things like that. So if anything, I think we're further on the back of the line on certain things, but at the same time, the systems and the processes, the values, the way you sell, the difference between commercial and residential, it's all the same. It's the same in both worlds. So it doesn't matter what space people are from, we're going to bring it. And I think they're going to leave with some unbelievable value to take back home. So
we know it. We know it. All right, Sam, we appreciate your time today. Thank you so much for joining us on Friday. We hope you have an incredible, blessed weekend. And for all our viewers, go to salesboostlive.com to get your tickets. They are selling out fairly quickly, especially with the room blocks for the hotel at the Hilton Palace. We're excited to see you there, and we'll talk to y'all next week.
See you in North Carolina, y'all.